Hello and welcome back to Dutchman Said. It's really windy out today, so I'm going to do a voiceover. Today we're going to be looking at everything wrong with my S2000 and what it really cost me. For starters, the car cost me €8,500, approximately $10,000. So quite a good price. The reason being, the previous owner dropped the suspension and didn't roll the arches properly. So 18-inch wheels, you can see the rust there, and the wheel arch liner is scraping against the wheel under some turns. Put some nice new stickers on the window to put my branding out there. You can see they've got these terrible bolt-on wide body fenders in the rear here, which look really terrible. I'm going to remove those. You can see a bit of the paint there showing on the top fender on the rear. Bit of the bumper at the bottom, they're a bit loose. You've got a bit of damage to the rear tail lights here. You can see it's a little bit cracked and worn on both sides, top and bottom. So those need to be replaced. The spoiler at the back actually has a little bit of paint bubbles. I don't know if you can see it though. It's a bit difficult because there's a bit of water on the car at the moment now, but the paint there where the boot lid attaches to the spoiler at the back is not so great. There's a bit of mold under the soft top, but not to worry, that soft top's in bad condition. We're going to take that off and replace it. It's got the glass window at the back with a rear heated window, so that's a pretty cool feature, especially for winter, so you can see out the back. The back of the car doesn't actually look too bad. However, the rear fog light is missing. It is in the boot, but it's not connected. It was very loose. Actually broke off. This tail light there is pretty good, not too bad. Again, the rims are quite badly scratched. Those actually were not scratched when I bought the car, but they were scratched during the roadworthy testing, so those need to be repaired. The brake pads at the back were completely worn out, so we have to replace those. Again, these terrible bolt-on fenders. You've got a nice side skirt there at the bottom, a little black trim, which is nice. Bit of rust there on the passenger side door. You can see the paint starting to come off there, so that's not great. Again, another scratched wheel on the left, which was scratched during the roadworthy testing, so that needs to be fixed before we can replace these. These are not the original TE37s. These are actually Volkswagen replicas, so we need to replace those with actual ones. It's a bit of a scratch here on the front bumper. You can see there someone has scratched it while parking, so that needs to be cleaned. The car is pretty filthy at the moment now, so don't worry about that. We'll take it for a wash at the end. The radiator actually has a bit of rust and damage, but it's not leaking, so we will replace that. But for now, it's good. This is where the problem starts. Now, we had the car in a lift, and it's horrendous. It looks like somebody has parked this car next to the ocean for most of its life. Being a UK import, you see this quite often with a lot of rust, so everything here is badly rusted and corroded. You can see all the linkages and the control arms. The dust guard there for the rear brake rotors are completely eroded away from rust. Again, all the drive shafts, control arms, everything is rusted. The rear diff has got rust on it. The bolts are all rusted. The springs are rusted. It's a mess down there. So we're going to have to sandblast the entire undercarriage and redo everything under here. The left sway bar linkage was broken off due to rust. You can see the bolts just snapped right out of there. The front and the back left sway bar linkages were actually both broken. The undercarriage, you can see, is in not terrible shape. They did do some repair work there with some black paint to try and prevent some further rust. There's actually no holes in the chassis. Oh, look at this, oil leakage. Bad oil leakage in the transmission. It looks like it's coming from higher up though, so we'll have to take a look at that. It's dripping down onto the transmission over there. You can see there's some more rust again. Everything is just badly rusted there. Your ABS wheel sensor there, control arms, everything just in bad shape. So your suspension, your struts, everything, your steering linkages there, it's all been quite badly rusted. Looking again on the front here for the radiator, that is completely rusted through at the bottom there. It's got some holes. Some of the fins and the aluminium fins have been actually eroded away, so luckily it's not leaking. We will need to put a racing radiator in there. We're going to go with Mishimoto. So yeah, that's the worst part of it. So we did a little bit of a service. We changed the oil filter, put in a fresh oil, 5W40. We also changed the battery because that was completely dead. We did an engine flush. You can see the engine flush fluid over there. There's the new battery. There's the new fluid for the clutch. So we replaced the clutch fluid. You can see how black it was. It was filthy, just absolutely black. That was the transmission fluid. Actually, no particles on the bolt. The new sway bar linkages that we replaced. And then you can see now afterwards, we did a nice cleanup of the engine bay. The airbox is a bit broken, so that vibrates a bit at high revs, so we need to fix that because it's a bit annoying. But you can see now there's a bit of rust on some of the engine components here, some of the lines, it's the intake header, the new battery we put in there, a new cover there for the positive terminal to make sure there's no sparking. Your suspension mounts over there are pretty rusted. The engine fluid we didn't change. We're going to change that when we do the radiator. You can see there the other side of the suspension control arm also rusted. TCR has been replaced before, so we didn't have to do that. We replaced the brake fluid, we replaced the clutch fluid, so that's all new fluids. The ABS was pretty much okay, that was fine, so we'll see how that handles on track. There's the new oil filter we put in. We cleaned the air filter with an air filter cleaner, some brake cleaner actually.
The interior actually isn't that bad. It's got this really cool looking Japanese sticker over here. It's actually the cover that opens up for the radio, and the owner's been so kind as to replace it with a nice Kenwood radio with Bluetooth, USB, auxiliary. However, the phone list is full of all the paired Bluetooth devices, and I can't quite figure out yet how to remove the list to pair my phone, so I'll figure that out. But there's a really cool aftermarket subwoofer system set up here with an amplifier built in, 2-channel, some tweeters put in. The dashboard actually is in a really good condition. Your airbag's still in there for the passenger. The original gear shift knob still in really good condition. However, the one problem is it won't go into fifth. The fifth gear is just stuck, so something in the gearbox is blocking the fifth gear. So right now it only goes 1, 2, 3, 4 and 6, but no fifth. The reverse works fine, no problems there. The handbrake feels good. It's got a built-in a little mobilizer here. The roof works well. It's got a little cup holder here, a rear heater for the window, tiny little glove box back here, and the button to open the boot. So the boot opens up here, the trunk in America as they call it, and there's even a cable here to connect to your iPod for a very old iPod connection that nobody uses anymore these days. The leather seats are in really good shape. The roof on the outside needs to be replaced, so we're going to do a hard top roof there, but everything basically works well here. The mirror needs to be replaced, a little bit better days it's seen. The electronics, everything works fine. Starting it up, if you have a look for the first time, you know, the electronics all work fine. The gauges go on pretty much. It's got 182,000 kilometers, so divide that by 1.6 for miles, I think it's roughly 106,000 miles. So not low mileage by any chance, but hitting the engine start button here, oh sorry, I have to hit the mobilizer, so you got a mobilizer there, and then it'll go up one time. So starts pretty good. It's had the service, all the fluids changed, the battery and everything, so all good. The air conditioning actually works, the AC works, so I've got pretty good AC, but of course now with the aftermarket radio, the radio controls here don't function anymore because the previous owner did not put the connection in for the old controls. That's fine. You've got no controls on the steering wheel, no buttons for the radio, no cruise control buttons there. The gearbox feels good, the steering feels good, the car drives well. I mean, when it's warmed up and everything, I'll take it for a spinner. You guys see the first drive.